I used to think paranoia came like a siren. Loud, obvious, impossible to ignore. Mine arrived like a hum in the basement. My name is Claire. I'm 31, I work in event planning, and until a month ago, I was in love with a man named Daniel who had a smile that made strangers tell us we looked like newlyweds. We'd been together a year and a half. We kept separate apartments, but I was at his place 4 nights a week. We'd fall asleep in his upstairs bedroom to the distant whir of a dehumidifier, an old house soundtrack he said he barely noticed anymore. When I'd ask what was behind the locked door at the bottom of the basement stairs, he'd laugh and say, "The house's least interesting secret, a junk room and my dad's old tools. Honestly, don't go down there. You'll twist an ankle." The first time I asked for a key to that basement door, his eyebrows drew together. "You're not still worried about my ex showing up, are you? You're being a little paranoid, babe." He made paranoid sound like a word you pet on the head and send to bed. It worked. I told myself not to be the crazy girlfriend. I told myself he was allowed to have a boundary. I told myself the hum was a dehumidifier and not my intuition chewing its own tail. But then things began to tangle. He started getting a text tone I'd never heard, a soft chime followed by his eyes flicking to the side door camera. He'd step away with his phone held to his chest. "Work," he'd say. He wasn't a doctor. He worked in sales. The chime came at odd hours, 2 a.m., 6 a.m., lunchtime. Sometimes he'd bolt downstairs without saying anything and come back with damp hair, like he'd splashed his face, and a vague smell of baby powder trailing behind him. One night, after we'd celebrated an anniversary, he rolled over and whispered into my hair, "God, someday, you'll be the mother of my children." My body went warm from forehead to toes. "Someday," I echoed, and he froze like the word had bitten him. "I mean, if that's what we want," he said, too fast. "Not now. Not yet." I told my best friend Maya about the basement door and the chime and the way he called me paranoid. Maya, who does not do subtlety, said, "If a man locks a door in his house and calls you crazy for noticing, something behind that door is not a wrench." I didn't go looking, not right away. What pushed me wasn't the hum or even Maya. It was a thunderstorm. A tree took out a line on our street. The power went out. Daniel was on a late call at his office and wouldn't be back for hours. I grabbed a flashlight and headed downstairs to check the breaker because our fridge upstairs was full of the fancy cheese I'd bought for date night. And yes, I am that person. The basement smelled like dust and damp laundry. The door at the bottom of the stairs was there, smug and solid with its little brass lock. I stood there in the beam of my flashlight, stomach in my shoes. "It's a junk room," I told myself, like saying it could make it true. I checked the top of the doorframe for a spare key. Nothing. The underside of the stair treads? Nothing. I was about to give up when my light hit a grape juice stain on the wall at ankle height, a splash that had dripped in lazy rivulets. Next to it, a tiny sticker of a yellow duck, the kind you get from a pediatrician's office. I stared at the duck until my eyes watered. My hand, apparently done with my brain, reached behind the water heater and pulled out a key on a lanyard. It was wrapped with a strip of blue tape. My heart kicked. "Don't be dramatic," I whispered to the air. "It's a storage room." The key turned with an almost cheerful click. The smell hit me first. Not garbage, not mildew, but something clean and strangely sweet. Baby shampoo. The flashlight beam slid over a pale blue wall with white cloud decals, a rocking chair with a knit blanket folded over the back, a low white dresser topped with rows of neatly stacked diapers. There was a crib. There was a mobile of little felt planets turning slowly in the draft. There was a changing table with wipes and a bottle of aloe lotion lined up like soldiers. In the corner, a compact mini fridge hummed, its door taped with a handwritten label, milk. A white noise machine crouched next to a plush rabbit. A baby monitor sat on the dresser, its green light blinking. I remember the exact thought that flared across my mind in that moment, ridiculous and desperate. Maybe he really is future planning. Maybe he's one of those men who builds a nursery in secret as a surprise proposal gesture. Then, my phone camera flash reflected off something on the wall. A string of Polaroids clipped to twine. The first showed Daniel's hands holding a newborn wrapped in a hospital blanket, only his chin and smile visible above the baby's hat. The second was a close-up of tiny feet. On the bottom edge of each Polaroid, in neat block letters, a date was written. Last month, 2 weeks ago, 3 days ago. My stomach went cold. I picked up a folded paper from the dresser. It was a feeding and sleep log. At the top, Rowan, born 0814. Under that, Mom, L. The last entry read, 1:45 a.m., 3 ounces, good latch, slept 2 to 5 a.m. Yesterday. There were grocery receipts in a drawer for formula and prenatal vitamins. There was a card on the dresser, Welcome, Baby Rowan, signed in loopy script, Love, Lila. The house creaked above me. I put everything back exactly where it had been. My hands shook so badly that the key scraped paint off the lock when I turned it. I ran upstairs and sat on the kitchen floor with my back against the cabinets, trying to breathe as if I weren't drowning in baby blue air. When Daniel's headlights finally swept the front windows, I felt absolutely, absurdly calm. He came in, shaking his umbrella and smiling. "Still out?" he asked. I brought candles. "Who is Rowan?" I asked. He froze in the doorway. It was such a small thing, the way his hand opened and closed, but I knew in that second. "What are you talking about?" he said, slowly. "Claire, you're scaring me." I found the nursery. My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. I found the Polaroids. I found the feeding log. Please don't lie to me. Red flushed up his throat. "You went into a room I explicitly asked you not to? Are you serious? This is exactly what I mean when I say you're paranoid." I laughed. I heard it and flinched because it had more of a sob in it than I wanted. Paranoid? About the baby you're apparently co-parenting in the basement? It's not. He raked a hand through his hair. "Look, it's not what you think. I'm helping someone, a friend. She needed a place to stay sometimes. Claire, this is complicated. It's not ours. It's temporary. I was going to tell you when it was the right time." "Who is Lila?" His eyes flicked to the side door. "We should talk about this later." "Later when? Before or after the 1:45 feeding?" He slammed his palms on the counter. "You're spinning this. You go looking for something to hate and then act shocked when you find it. Do you want me to be a bad guy? Because I'm not. I'm being a good person. You want a future with me, and I want that too, but I can't just throw someone under the bus." There was a baby monitor in a drawer in the kitchen. A second one, I realized with a jolt, with a tiny video screen. Before I could stop myself, I pulled it out. The feed flickered to life. The crib, the mobile planets drifting, the soft blue wall. The little green light blinked like a pulse. "Who's coming through the side door?" I asked as the distinctive chime sounded from his phone. He stared at me, then at the monitor, and then he bolted for the basement. I followed. The side door opened and a woman stepped in, her hair damp from the rain, a diaper bag slung over her shoulder. She was tired. That was my first impression. Not glamorous, not a seductress people imagine when they say the other woman. She had a baby in a car seat, sleeping, a hat with tiny bear ears pulled down to its eyebrows. She looked up and froze when she saw me. "Oh," she said, "you must be his sister. I'm so sorry. I know it's late. Rowan wouldn't settle and—" She stopped. The lie was in her eyes before it was in mine. "You're not his sister." "No," I said, throat raw. "I'm his girlfriend." There are silences polite society doesn't prepare you for. In that one, the only sound was the drip of rain from the woman's coat. "I'm Lila," she said. "I'm also his girlfriend. Rowan's my son." The baby stirred, tiny face scrunching. Daniel appeared at the bottom of the stairs, breathless, eyes wide. "Lila, I'm so sorry," he said, hands up like a man facing down a wild animal. "Claire and I were just— This is not—" "What is this?" Lila asked, voice flat. "Because you told me Claire was your tenant. You said she rented the upstairs because you're generous. You said you broke up." "I did," he said, moving between us like a human shield. He looked at me, then at her, as if he could charm physics and make the two realities merge. "I did break up with her. We had residual stuff. I didn't want to stress you during the last trimester, Lil. I'm handling it." "Handling it?" I whispered, "by parking a secret family under our feet?" His face hardened. "Our feet? You don't live here." I barked a laugh, wet and ugly. Not for long. "Stop," Lila said sharply, the words slicing through our fight. She put the car seat down and unbuckled the baby with a gentleness that made my chest ache. "You told me you were divorced," she said to Daniel, keeping her eyes on the baby, like she couldn't stand to give him the gift of her gaze. "You said I was your first honest love. You asked me to move in because you wanted Rowan to have a father." He reached for her arm. She stepped back. "I wanted all of that," he said. "I want both of you. No, not like that. I mean, I was trying to figure out the best way for everyone. Claire needs time. You need support. I've been carrying this alone." "You built a nursery in your basement," I said. "You didn't carry it alone. You chose the dark." He turned to me, anger sparking. "You think you know what commitment is, Claire? You wanted a Pinterest wedding and no mess. Life is messy." "Messy isn't the same as secret," I said. Rowan made a small hiccup sound, and Leela lifted him to her chest. His eyes opened, unfocused and beautiful. Something inside me unclenched and broke at the same time. "Leela," I said softly, "what did he tell you about me?" "That you were cruel. That you wanted to trap him with a baby he didn't want. That you'd sabotage my pregnancy if you knew." She looked up them, and her eyes were clear and furious. "I thought I hated you. I thought you didn't exist." We stood there, Two women who had been turned into villains in each other's stories by a man who was very good at telling them. Daniel hovered, hands out, mouth opening and closing like a fish. "We can fix this," he said. Claire, we can take some space and circle back. Leela, please don't blow this up." "Circle back?" I repeated, incredulous. "To what? The secret baby in the basement?" Lila shifted Rowan to the other shoulder and kissed his forehead. "I'm not staying," she said. "I'm taking my son home. To my home, where no one has to crawl through lies to get to the light." "Lil, wait," he said. "You need the formula here." "I bought it," she said. "You reimbursed me and pretended it was charity." She looked at me. "Do you have somewhere to go tonight?" "Yes," I lied. "My apartment." I had an apartment. Whether I could breathe there yet was another question. We walked upstairs together. Daniel followed, pleading, cajoling, and accusing, as if trying on every outfit in his emotional closet. When we reached the front door, he grabbed the frame. "Claire, don't do this," he said. "Don't be dramatic. You're better than this." "I'm better than this," I agreed, and opened the door. Rain slicked the steps. Lila tucked the blanket around Rowan, checked the car seat buckle twice, 3 times. She looked at me over the hood of her car. "I'm sorry," she said. "Me too," I said, "for both of us." The narration sent me a barrage of messages that night. Explanations, accusations, apologies, poems he must have Googled, photos of us smiling, screenshots of flights he wanted to buy for some imaginary getaway where we'd reset. I blocked him. 2 days later, I got a note from Lila. She'd left him. She'd talked to a lawyer. She had a picture of Rowan with a gummy, almost smile. "He likes the ceiling fan," she wrote, "and baths." Sometimes I still hear the hum in my head when I try to fall asleep. But in the quiet that follows, something new lives there. Trust in my own alarms. They don't blare. They buzz. They whisper. They smell like baby shampoo and lies. I thought paranoia was a siren. It turned out to be a door, locked at the bottom of the stairs, waiting for me to find the key I'd been holding the whole time.